Okay, so let's start knocking out these white psychopaths of Kentucky. And actually, I'm honing more that they're white psychopathic murderers. They are bloody murderers, okay? Some of them are serial killers out of Kentucky. Some of them you may be surprised about. Some of them you may never heard. I'll actually read the list of all the people I'm going to be mentioning. It's not a total comprehensive list, but it's a good start. Okay, so I start out the list with two white psychopaths, Joel Casse and Aaron Browning. They're general psychopaths. They didn't murder anybody. Now, the rest of the list are all psychopathic murderers. They have bloody hands. They killed another human being. They took away their life. Okay? Joel Casse and Aaron Browning are psychopaths because they injure another person and they keep lying about it over and over again. And they have no compunction. They don't feel bad about their actions or their behaviors or their fucking lies. They don't give a shit. Okay? So, the list, white psychopathic murderers of Kentucky. You have Rodney J. Estes, he murdered Robert Whitlow. Timothy Barnes murdered Adrian Reynolds. Chris Horn and Paul Kincade murdered Desmond Rudolph in 1999. Derrick Leachman, Fred Helm, Maurice Hendricks murdered Adrian Reynolds. Johann Steimle murdered 18-year-old Clifford Lewis Jr. in 2001. Clayton Patton murdered 32-year-old Jason Cravens in 2002. Archie Ashley, this fucking old-ass white supremacist piece of shit in Louisville, murdered 15-year-old Andrew Eliot for throwing rocks at his house. So a young black boy throwing rocks at his house, and he just shoots him in the back. Archie Ashley Jr., that's going to be the anonymous prick, also known as LOL, Nate Higgers, and Neutral Party. That piece of shit is going to be Archie Ashley Jr. from now on. I don't give a fuck who he is. I'm naming that motherfucker. He's Archie Ashley Jr. And he's a piece of shit. Was recruiting Klan members, willy-nilly talked all racist fucking bullshit, was terrorizing and bullying everybody on topix forums 3 years ago. Hated that, stood up to him pretty strong. He hasn't been fucking issuing as many racist statements as he once has, but he's still around, still a fucking nuisance. Still prick, changes his proxy so that way nobody can follow him. He might be an administrator. Somehow he tends to get other people's posts deleted, and his posts that are evil and shitty somehow stay alive and are okay. So he's not a murderer, but his influence could have created murder. You know, saying how great fucking racism is, and then all of a sudden the fucking kid dies. So is it possible that he fanned the flames and pushed Archie Ashley into his fucking murderous stupor? I don't think it's that far of a stretch to think that the movement, white supremacy movement, had something to do with it. Brian Luckett and Michael O'Neill murdered James Taylor. McKenzie Mattingly murdered 18-year-old Michael Newby in 2004. James Kaufling and Jefferson Atkins murdered Marshall Marbly in 2002. Hernando de Soto, we're going old school here, that's the first white man in Kentucky. So we see the history of white psychopathic murderers in Kentucky at a very, very early age, a very early period. The Daniel Boone and Company, they didn't get, Harrodsburg wasn't formed until 1774, so while everybody else was fighting the revolution, Kentuckians were killing a bunch of Indians, in the western hemisphere of the American, so-called American Revolutionary War. Before Daniel Boone and Herod and Simon Kenton and Company, before that happened, Hernando de Soto was a Spanish explorer, conquistador, led the first European expedition deep in the territory of modern-day United States, first documented to cross the Mississippi River. So he died in 1542, so in the 1540s, 1530s, he was in Kentucky. First white man crossed on the western side of Kentucky, Hernando de Soto. So that starts out, that's, what did I say, 1450s or 1540s? 1500s, 1492, Columbus is fucking, murdering everybody, stealing everybody, taking their gold and wealth, and passing out children for all the pedophiles in his armies. Murdered over 500,000 Taino Indians, established basically the slave trade and the Native American genocidal policy that would dominate America till today, which is despicable to 100 million Native Americans killed, wiped out, compared to 6 million Jews that Hitler wiped out. He looked at the Holocaust of American Indians as inspiration for his own Holocaust. So I think it's important to, I think it's important to point out how there's been a long-ass history. In fact, it almost seems like there's a history of us celebrating psychopathic fucking murderers. Look at all the faces on our dollar bills. Okay? Look at Andrew Jackson. Perfect fucking example, right? He's like champion for being a fighter for the common man and getting the senators voted on by the people and all this other shit. So he's promoting democracy for white people. At the same time, trailing fucking the Native Americans. Go with another president, James Polk, who was actually the Andrew Jackson before Andrew Jackson, the 11th president. Lied American people in Congress into the Mexican-American War. He said that they spilled blood on the American soil. He didn't say they spilled blood on our soil. He said on the American soil. So really, his own words about the goddamn thing sounds like a bunch of fucking lies. And it's no big fucking surprise. Presidents lie. White psychopaths have no empathy. They don't give a shit if you believe them or not. They got an agenda. They want something done. They want a lot of Mexicans dead. They want to steal their fucking land. They want to kill Taino Indians. They want to steal Haiti and Hispaniola away from the Native Americans. And that's what white, psychopathic, bloody fucking, generally capitalistic psychopaths do. It's been going on since 1492 in America, since the European invasion. It's been going on in Kentucky since, Hernando de Soto come in the 1540s, and there was spotty, but really white people didn't come into Kentucky until 1774, right at the beginning of the American Revolution, the so-called American Revolution. American Revolution is situated right in the middle of the 60 Years' War, from 1754 to 1814, the end of the War of 1812. So there's the French and Indian War, there's the American Revolution, there's the War of 1812. All of them had white people killing Indians, stealing Indian lands, genociding Indians, taking their shit and fucking pushing them westward and saying, get the fuck out of here. White psychopathic fucking murderers, white supremacists. These motherfuckers aren't just murderers, but they're fucking racist. Racist, imperialist, land-grabbing, occupying, fucking low-life, bloody shirt psychopaths. They're fucking murderers. They're worse than serial killers. Kill one person, it's a tragedy. Kill a million in the name of national security, and that's just the status quo. That's regular business. It's only a statistic. That's what Stalin says. Kill one, it's a tragedy. Kill a million, it's a statistic. Chris Columbus is not a fucking hero. We should not be celebrating Chris Columbus or James Polk or Andrew Jackson. George Washington is a pretty questionable character. Yeah, they got us independence from Britain, but they got us the Bill of Rights, but they barely got us the Bill of Rights many years after the Revolution was over. So they didn't even want to give us those Bill of Rights, but passed independence and a Bill of Rights. I don't see any real benefit from the American Revolution. Most Indians and black people fought on the British side. The British offered the first Emancipation Proclamation during the American Revolutionary War. 1774, the very first battle happened in Kentucky. It was the Battle of Point Pleasant. So the Battle of Point Pleasant, 1774, was where Lord Dunmore, a British fucking governor of Virginia, along with a bunch of white people, Daniel Boone fucking types, I think Simon Girty was even there, and they shot up the Cornstalk and the Shawnee. So you have all these fucking white psychopaths wanting the Indian land, pretending that it's for independence, but they come into Kentucky and they just murdering Indians with fucking glee. The Battle of Point Pleasant was in West Virginia. So West Virginia just, tugged Fork River away from Kentucky, and Kentucky was populated by many Native Americans, mostly Shawnee, but there's Cherokee, Yuchi, Delaware, Iroquois, Chickasaw, Creek. So white psychopaths has been in Kentucky for a long-ass time. The American Revolution, the other thing, there's two battles I want you to think about, the Battle of Point Pleasant and the Battle of Blue Licks. Battle of Blue Licks happened in 1782. Some people say the American Revolution ended in 1781, so why the fuck we killing people in 1782? 1781, the Treaty of Paris is signed. War's over, Britain lost, they give us our shit. And they signed the Treaty of Paris, the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1893. 1776 is the Declaration of Independence. So 1881 was the end of the fighting. That was the Battle of Yorktown, and then 1783 was the Treaty of Paris. So we had the Battle of Yorktown knocked out, right? We had the Battle of Yorktown actually that stopped the war in 1781. So the war stopped in 1781, but why do we have a battle here in Kentucky? The Battle of Blue Licks, northern Kentucky. Battle of Blue Licks. It was a slaughter. Lots of Kentucky militiamen got killed, including Israel Boone, one of Daniel Boone's son, and like 50 other Kentucky frontiersmen. Worst fucking battle. Usually it was a one-sided, what Hitler called the Native Americans, he said it was a one-sided, disproportional, something about unparalleled or basically just one-sided fucking warfare where there's one person or one group that has all the guns, all the warfare, the inclination, the savagery to fucking wipe out another one, even though they're clearly outnumbered and disadvantaged. Asymmetrical warfare. That's what Hitler called the Native American genocide. It's asymmetrical warfare. Asymmetrical warfare, you have all the guns, so typically the frontiersman was able to kill Indians willy-nilly, play it for sport, you know, it was a big fucking joke. It was like killing like fucking rabbits to them. Well, how many rabbits you killed today? Oh, I killed, you know, fucking 3 Shawnee. I got their scalps. I'm a good-ass person. And, you know, the white people was coming in on their land. This was the Shawnee land. This is dark and bloody land for a reason, because the Shawnee had permanent settlements, and the Cherokee did, and the Chickasaw did, and the Creek Indians did, and I'm not sure about the Yuchi. There's also lots of bloodshed here. Chief Pluggy died in Georgetown on Christmas Day. George Washington crossing the motherfucking Delaware, and George Washington, one of the worst Indian killers, Indian land stealers ever. And he didn't step 1 foot in fucking Kentucky, so, you know, this white hero that all these fucking people west of the eastern side of the United States honoring this, you know, fucking asshole that's basically a self-serving, warmongering, you know, right-wing, imperialist, fascist. No, I would not have sided with the colonists. I would not have sided with the British. I would have sided with the Native Americans. It's their land. They was here first, and revolutions are fought over land. And now they're in reservations, poor reservations, lots of poverty, lots of crime, lots of rape, lots of bullshit happening there. And but American people don't see it, so they push them out of the limelight. They don't have to see it, and you know they're happy with that. There's some potential there because the reservations are actually a nation within a nation because they have their own set of laws and they're governed by a different set of laws than the rest of us. So let's just finish naming this list. Which, okay, so I got a couple more. There's Hernando de Soto, right? He come into Kentucky, killed Indians. He actually captured a whole bunch of them, right? Killed some, captured a bunch. He didn't let them go, and then was wondering why they weren't happy that he let them go. You know, they were still kind of mad. Henry Watterson, he was a Ku Klux Klan member. He founded the Courier Journal, which is still raging today. It's a corporate entity, dog eat dog. It's, you know, I don't know who runs the Courier Journal, but I bet the CEO and the board of trustees, I bet they're all capitalistic psychopaths, lack of empathy, only give a fuck about the bottom line, just want to make money. Henry Watterson, he was at the Battle of Fort Pillow with Nathan Bedford Forrest. Nathan Bedford Forrest founded the first Ku Klux Klan. So we have the Watterson Expressway here in Louisville. We named the entire fucking big-ass fucking piece of blacktop for a man that murdered lots of black folks at Fort Pillow. Savagely, one of the worst fucking savage, vicious, killed all people who try to surrender, no prisoners of war, just murdered everyone at the Battle of Fort Pillow, which was predominantly black soldiers. Simon Kenton, he was an Indian murderer. Daniel Boone, he's an Indian murderer. Rod Farrell, a.k.a. Visago, he killed his girlfriend, stepfather, and mother in 1996. He thinks of himself as a vampire. Charlie Manson, so if you didn't know that Charlie Manson was from Kentucky, he is. Charlie Manson was born in Appalachia, and we can learn a lot from Charlie Manson. He didn't kill anybody. The system created him. He was locked away in juvenile from an early age. No one gave a shit about him. He was getting raped when he was a baby, you know, as a boy. And he first went to jail over a forged check. So he signed, you know, a bad check, and then they sent him into prison to get raped. He ran away several times. He kept getting more offenses put on him. He couldn't just crush, you know, the spirit like the prison system is supposed to do. And, you know, he basically was born in jail and he never got out. Michael Carneal is a 14-year-old who murdered several girls in a prayer group in Paducah, Kentucky in 1997. Donald Angel of Death Harvey, he was a serial killer, murdered 57 people. This is a white Kentuckian savage. Murdered over 57 people in the 1970s and 1980s. He's from Boonesville, Owsley County. Over 57 people, 70s and 80s. You'd think you would have heard some of these folks. Wesley Neal Higdon, he murdered 6 at Atlantic Plastic in Henderson, Kentucky in 2008.